where people go wrong is we talked about when they set up their business. They just think, okay, I got my LLC, now I'm ready to go for funding. But your business needs to be in compliance, and there's certain things that the lenders are looking at. And if you're not doing these things right, those are red flags, right? So things like having the right business address, having the right business phone number. Do you have a Dun & Bradstreet number, EIN number, right? Are you in a high risk or low risk industry? So there's certain industries, like if I go in a bank and I say, hey, Darius Benders Credit Repair Company, I'm not getting any funding. You know what I'm saying? So those are some misconceptions that people have when it comes to going to get business funding. How you need to get. If you're a brand new LLC, you can get funded. You're probably not going to get as much as someone who's had their LLC 2 or 3 years just because it's brand new, right? Yeah. So one thing you can do is whoever you have relationships with on the personal side, who easier to go get business funding with than the person you already have a relationship with. They already see you have activity, you built a rapport with them. So whoever you're banking with, I would now go open up a business account, right? Then what we're gonna do is we can run something called a 50-50 play, which is essentially where what you're gonna do is drop some money into checking, drop some money in your business savings, right? Let's do that for 3 or 4 weeks. If you got more money to play with, drop more money in them, right? Because again, it's just about building that rapport. Even before getting into all this, I always had a passion to help people. And that's been the thing. So my coaching business right now, we have over 400 students between our university and our mentorship program. And that's been, my biggest thing I'll go to in terms of impact and then income. But, we also have like a continuity offer. Like for people who can't afford to pay for credit repair, I got a free software that allows them to repair their own credit, and it's populated by artificial intelligence so that they don't even have to know what they're doing. It's gonna pull up their negative accounts. It's gonna literally plug and play. So when they click on the negative accounts, it's gonna populate the letters for them and allow them to send it off, or they can pay a couple extra dollars and get it sent off on their behalf. So that's been amazing as well.
Hey, wait. I know you want to watch this next video, but listen, if you are an entrepreneur, business coach, business consultant, or a small business owner who has a story and wants to learn how to create multiple streams of income from your story, I need you to text me right now, my book, to 646-687-4152. That is my personal number. I have been an author for over 12 years. I've written 10 books. 4 of them have been bestsellers, and I've sold over 100,000 books. But I've also helped a lot of my clients take their expertise and put it into a story, then create multiple streams of income from that. So I want to help you do the same thing. So text my book to 646-687-4152. All right, let's go back to the video. Welcome to another awesome episode of Inside the Vault with Ash Cash, the greatest money mindset show on the planet. Listen, launching a business comes with a lot of obstacles, but for entrepreneurs who have been through it, one challenge stands out in their mind: financing. Traditional bank loans for small businesses have historically been hard to obtain, but recent market trends are making it even more difficult for new startups to get the funding that they deserve. That's where my next guest comes in, a business coach and consultant who helps people improve their credit and obtain $100K in funding in 90 days. Welcome, Darius Benders, who's gonna help you get to the bag so you can take your business to the next level. What's up, brother?
What's going on, man?
How you, man?
Good, man. Appreciate you having me on today.
Man, it's my pleasure, man. I love talking about how to access other people's money, right? Because, as somebody who, grew up in an environment that I didn't really see entrepreneurs and have access to business owners, I would relate the personal ways to get money,
right,
and not know the business ways. And even as a former banker, I was a banker 15 years, as I started to learn all of the benefits of how a business could actually obtain funding, I was like, man, this is information that people don't really know. And so I'm glad that you're out here, you're teaching people how to get to the funding. And so we're going to talk about all of that. But before we get there, for those who don't know, who is Darius Benders?
Yeah, so my name is Darius Benders, like my guy said. I'm from Boston, Mass. originally. I've been here in Georgia now for about 6 months. And we essentially what we do is we help entrepreneurs get their credit in order, get access to funding, and we give them direction on how they can use this money to be able to grow their businesses. Because, like you said, growing up, we weren't taught this information, right? No one told us how to get access to the funding, and a lot of times, because we're not privy to the information, we struggle. Like 82% of small businesses are going to fail in the first 5 years. That's just a fact. And when you look at the number one reason, is due to lack of capital, whether it's starting capital or they run out of money to be able to grow. So that's a little bit about me.
Yeah. So you were able to obtain $167,000
Yes.
in 47 days. There's people out here who don't make that in a year, right?
Right.
Talk to us a little bit about that process.
Absolutely. So what I did was essentially I went to a conference, and I was in the nightlife, right? So pandemic came and shut down, right? So I had to kind of figure out a plan, had to pivot. So I went to a conference out here in Georgia, and a lot of people talking about credit, trucking, Airbnb, all types of things. So I'm a networker. I get in rooms. I like to meet people. So I met one of my good friends, Mel, and we had just started exchanging value after that event. He was showing me the credit game, and then I was showing him what I was doing at the time, marketing. So in learning this, I realized this is the cheat code.
Facts.
This is what I need, because a lot of our problems, they come from the root of not having the capital. Mm-hmm. So, I improved my credit. I went out, I built my credit, and that's something I tell people: if you don't have credit, you can build it in as little as 30 days, literally. Mm-hmm. And then I just started going for funding, right? So, we start with, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but starting with like smaller banks, like credit unions, your community banks, your regional banks, and then forming your LLC, right? Most people, to get an LLC, and they think, okay, where's the money at? But no, your business has to actually be set up and structured the right way. So once we did that, we tapped into the business funding banks, and a lot of 0% interest funding, which is great, because when you're starting a new business, a lot of times we're trying to figure it out, right? Well, there's gonna be bumps and bruises. So when you have business credit cards that have 0% introductory period, now you can take this and you have less pressure, because you don't have to pay it all back in 30 days or 60 days. You have some time. So that's how I went out and got some funding.
Yeah. And so let's peel back some layers a little bit, right?
Yep.
Because there are a lot of financial gurus and people who teach finance who kind of strongly emphasize against using debt or using credit. And so somebody who's listening right now might hear you like, oh yeah, you can get funding. But they're so afraid of debt. They're so afraid of using credit that they don't even take that step to borrow. They look for, this is the number one question I get, is like when somebody starts a business, they're like, yo, how can I get access to grants? Like they're looking for like free money, which is good though. There's nothing wrong with grants, but they're like afraid of credit. Why is using credit to fund your business a good idea? And how do you use credit in a way where you're not just getting into debt, but you're actually building from it? Yeah.
Makes sense. So I always say, that's a good question, right? So I like to give examples, right? I say success leaves clues. So you look at all the biggest businesses, all your favorite entrepreneurs, they all using debt. We talk about even Elon Musk, right? He bought Twitter. 40% of the money he used was from the banks, right? You talk about Wells Fargo, you talk about Walmart. All these businesses started from leveraging debt. So there's good debt and there's bad debt. Yeah. But when you use debt that's on the business side, it's a great thing, because one, it doesn't report to the personal side. So you don't have to worry about your DTI, being out of whack or being too high. And essentially you think about it like they're giving you essentially free money. Like let's say you want to go, I want to write a book. I want to learn how to write a book. Yeah. I go get some business funding. Yeah. I could pay my guy Ash. He could tell me how to create a book, how to sell it, how to do all these things. And I have 12 months before any interest starts accruing. So why would I not take advantage of that? Because what I'm doing is, and I tell people, when you get funding, first thing you should do is go get what I like to call the fast pass. So you find a mentor. It's a lot easier route. I like to compare it to having like a GPS, right? If I said I want to know how to sell, why am I going to try to sell books on my own if I don't know what I'm doing? I've never done it. I don't have family who's done it. I don't have friends who've done it. Yeah. So the key is when you get this funding, make sure you have a plan. That's first and foremost, and then go get the fast pass so that you can have the plan.
Yeah, no, I love it. And one of the things that you said that I don't want people to miss is that going and using funding allows you to use the funding on the business side, right? So that your DTI, which is debt to income ratio, stays low, right? And I think that's important to know, because a lot of people they try to use their personal credit. If they're using their personal credit, all that debt is going to stay on that personal side.
Yep.
So now when they want to buy things like a personal home, or if they want to do things that they can only do on their personal credit, then they're going to have such a high DTI, debt to income ratio, that they're not going to get approved, even if they could afford it.
Absolutely.
But if they do get business funding, then that business or that funding is not carried on my personal social security number.
Right.
It's actually held by the LLC, which is its own entity. So that way the debt to income ratio is it doesn't even exist on a personal side. And so would you suggest that for let's say somebody has a 9-to-5 and they're transitioning, or they have a side hustle? Do you suggest that for them as well to get business funding?
Absolutely. I would say anybody who's looking to invest in themselves, they're looking to start a side hustle or main hustle, whatever it may be, you definitely should go get your LLC set up, right, so that your business is operating how a business needs to operate. So even if you're in a 9-to-5 or you're working a couple jobs, 100% you should go get your business set up so that you can have funding to be able to put whatever you're looking to do for your side hustle in a good position to win, right? Because, again, when we talk about stats, right, we talked about 82% of small businesses are going to fail. And it's not having a proper plan and then the funding. So absolutely you should do that. And going back to what you said regarding the personal debt, and what I tell people is, like, let's say you go get a couple personal credit cards, because you're gonna need at least two, right? You're gonna need at least 2 personal credit cards with a $5,000 limit before we can go get access to business funding. So let's say you go get approved, 20, 30, 40,000 in funding, right? I like to say you keep your utilization under 15% so you don't feel stuck in a rut, especially if you're an entrepreneur, because the worst thing you can do, go get a lot of personal funding, you go use that to grow your business, and something go wrong in the business, now you're stuck with high utilization, trying to figure out how you can dig out of that hole.
Yep. No, I love it. And then, like, one of the things you mentioned, which I want to go back to too, you said at least having 2 personal credit cards. Why is that important as it relates to getting business credit?
Because when we go to look to get access to this business funding, right, they're going to look at a few things. How your data points on your personal credit report, right, how those look. Second is going to be how your entity is set up, your business. And then the last thing is going to be, what are your personal limits? Because if you only have, let's say you got 2 personal credit cards with a $3,000 limit, when we go to get business funding, they're not going to give you $20,000 limits, because you've never handled a good amount of credit, right? So why would we now give you high limits? So typically you want to, if you do have small limits, you want to increase those limits, which we can talk about how to increase those limits, or you want to start off with some lenders who are known for giving out high limits.
Got it. And then I mean, we right here. So how do you increase those limits, right? Like I gotta, I haven't used personal credit in a while. All of my, I use business credit. So on the personal side, I think I got 1 credit card that has like maybe $9,000 in credit, and then I have one that has like nothing, really, right?
Small, yeah.
How do I increase those credit limits? Yeah.
So I tell everyone, right, you got to think from a lender's perspective, right? If they give you money, let's say they started someone off with a $3,000 limit, right? If they're giving you money and you're not even utilizing the money they're giving you, why would they give you a credit limit increase, right? So what I tell you, the easiest way to increase your limits is you want to utilize that card. Like, everything should be set up that you're already doing in your life anyway. All your bills should be on your credit card. Anything you're already going to do should be set up on auto pay, right? And then what you're going to want to do is, let's utilize this credit card for everything, and then we'll pay down the credit card with the debit card. Now, most people know their due dates, right? And that's when the minimum payment is due. But what most people go wrong is let's say they pay down their credit card in full by the due date, and then they go use it again. Then they wonder why their utilization is still high on their credit report, because they don't know that there's a closing statement date. Your closing statement date is the most important date, because whatever is showing on your with that lender, that is going to be what's reported to the credit bureaus. So you want to call your lender, ask, hey, what is my closing statement date? Once they tell you, I tell you pay the card down in full or as much as possible 2 to 3 days before that closing statement date. So every 60 days to 6 months, you can ask for a credit card increase with most lenders. The key is making sure that you ask them, is it going to be a hard pull or a soft pull? Because if it's a hard inquiry, I don't want you to know, right? Whether you decide to go through with it, that's on you. But at least I would like to. I don't want no one to say, "Yo, that dude, he didn't tell me I was gonna get another hard inquiry." So just do your due diligence, and that's how you can increase your limits.
Wow, I love that, and I want y'all to pay attention, right? Because a couple of things, right? Understanding the difference between what a hard pull and a soft pull is, but also the ability, right, to know like when are the statements being pulled, right? Like that statement due date and the actual due date, right? There's two different ones, and I think that's where people get tripped up because I've had clients before who have had credit cards who have like, yo, I paid in full every time before the due date. But they don't understand that there's a statement.
Absolutely.
Statement date. And if you pay it 2 to 3 days before it, that's when that's the amount that's being reported to the credit bureaus, and that's what is allowing that utilization ratio to be low.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I love that. And so what like based on your experience, what are the common mistakes would you say that entrepreneurs make as it relates to getting business funding?
So a few mistakes they do make is when building out their profile, there's like this misconception that you can just go add a bunch of trade lines. You don't need primary accounts. So some people, they'll go add like 4 or 5 trade lines, and then they'll think that they're in position for funding. That's a huge mistake because you need to have at least 10 of your own primary accounts. And for people who don't know what those are, anything that is in your name, right? Anything that is in your name is considered a primary account. That could be, student loans, mortgages, credit cards, lines of credit, auto loans, right? If you don't have enough primary accounts, what you can do is you go add some credit builder accounts. So there's accounts out there that's set up to help you grow your credit report. You go check out Tomo card. It's a card that you can apply for. It's not an inquiry, so it's not going to affect you, but it's going to help you build your credit. You can go check out the extra debit card, same thing. You can go check out Self, Kickoff, Rent Reporter, Rental Karma. All these accounts are gonna help you build out. So you can literally do this today, and then within 30 days, you'll have the number of accounts that you need to be in position. So that's a huge misconception. Another thing that where people go wrong is we talked about when they set up their business. They just think, okay, I got my LLC, now I'm ready to go for funding. But your business needs to be in compliance, and there's certain things that the lenders are looking at. And if you're not doing these things right, those are red flags, right? So things like having the right business address, having the right business phone number. Do you have a Dun & Bradstreet number, EIN number, right? Are you in a high risk or low risk industry? So there's certain industries, like if I go in a bank and I say, hey, Darius Benders Credit Repair Company, I'm not getting any funding. You know what I'm saying? So those are some misconceptions that people have when it comes to going to get business funding, how you need to look.
And I want to like, one thing that you said, right? You talked about the amount of accounts that you have, right? And just for clarity, the amount of accounts that you have on your personal credit matter when you get business credit, but they're not like they want to see how you manage your personal credit.
Yes.
In order to give you the business credit.
Correct.
Right.
Oh, personal guarantoring.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so they're going to literally look at, because your personal credit tells a story, right?
Yeah.
It tells a story about you. So most people think, oh, I got a 700, like I'm ready.
Yeah.
But it's not. Like, okay, let's say a kid comes out of college, right? He's 23 years old. He had a student loan. He's had on-time payments. He might have a 720 to 750, but guess what? He can't go get business funding because he doesn't have the strength. He doesn't have the credit age that they're looking for. He doesn't have a diversified profile. He doesn't have any of the things that they're looking for. So he's going to get denied. And I get people who come, they might have a 695 and they can go get approved for a lot of money because they meet those data points, like the number of accounts. We talked about having 10, at least 4.5, 5 years of credit history, right? Having no derogatories, having no late payments. They might have utilization that's maybe a little higher than the lenders would like, but if they had credit for 6 or 7 years, they've always been known to pay their bills on time. They can go get some funding versus the person who has a 750 but doesn't have the strength. So yeah.
And while you were saying that, a thought came into my head. Let's say somebody has a low credit, credit limit credit card, right? But they've had it for a while. If they go to the bank and ask them to increase that limit, will the credit bureau see that the limit was increased, or they just see that you had the card for 10 years, here's the limit? Like, would they know you recently got a credit increase?
Great question. So when you get a credit limit increase, the next time your credit report updates, the new limit is going to post. When you're going for, let's say now you're going for business funding,
Yeah.
all they see is what your current limit is. They're not going to see, oh, they just got increased.
Right.
Now that you have that limit, that's what they're going based off of.
Got you.
Yep.
And then based on the way the FICO score algorithm works, the longer you have the card, the better.
Absolutely.
And based on what you were saying is that you have to have different amounts of credit in your primary name, not just trade lines. Do they have to be open, or they just have to be both open and closed?
So ideally, you would want 10 open accounts, right?
Okay.
You would want 10 open accounts. If you got, let's say you got 8 primary open accounts and 2 of them are closed, but they closed in good standing, then you're good. You can go get some business funding at that point. But ideally, we would want them to be 10 open accounts.
Yeah, and then so like they say 70% of Americans have mistakes on their credit report.
Absolutely.
Right? And so, I know there's millions of people out there, no fault of their own, right? Have these information, negative information on their report. And even some people, it is their fault and they got negative, right? What is the fastest way that somebody could fix their credit so that they could get access to this funding?
So first thing, like you said, most people don't even understand. I've been doing credit now for like a year and a half. I've never seen a credit report that's 100% accurate, right? Not even one time. So I had a student of mine, all she did was update her personal information, and her score went up 26 points, right? So it's literally people have multiple spellings in their names. People have different addresses. People got old employers listed. So people don't understand, even if you didn't have negatives, right? When you're going for funding, they see 4 different spellings on the name. They see all these different employers. It's a red flag because they're like, we don't even know if this is you. So that keeps you from getting what we like to call automatic approvals. Now we got to verify. Now we're asking you for docs and all these things that we could avoid if we make sure our personal information is in place. So first thing you want to do is update your personal information, right? It should look like a resume, 1 name, 1 address, 1 employer. You can simply call the bureaus and each bureau and update them with that. Next thing we're going to do is we can go to those negative accounts, right? And you can identify the inaccuracies within that account. So for example, let's say it's a Navy Federal credit card, right? You go look at the credit card. Now it's going to have different criteria. It's going to have open date, right? It's going to have the amount late. It's going to have how late was it, if it was 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So if you look across all 3 bureaus and they are not all 100% and entirely accurate, then that account must go by law, right? It's the FCRA, the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So those are some ways that you can check your credit report, and those are some ways that you can dispute any negatives that you have so that we can be able to get in position to now get funding.
Nah, I love it. And then now, right, so now you've done all of that. You got your credit where it need to go. You get your funding, or what, like give us some plays on, you mentioned them slightly, like credit union, things of that nature. Like what's the first step for somebody, right? So they got their credit together, they got their business together, right? So like you said, LLC, Dun and Bradstreet number, EIN number, a business telephone number, business email address, business address, right? So you got all of that, and then you walk into a bank. What could how much could a person expect to be, to get from that?
That's a great question. So it depends on a few factors. If you're a brand new LLC, you can get funded. You're probably not going to get as much as someone who's had their LLC 2 or 3 years just because it's brand new, right? Yeah. So one thing you can do is whoever you have relationships with on the personal side, who easier to go get business funding with than the person you already have a relationship with. They already see you have activity. You've built a rapport with them. So whoever you're banking with, I would now go open up a business account, right? Then what we're going to do is we can run something called a 50-50 play, which is essentially where what you're going to do is drop some money in the checking, drop some money in your business savings, right? Let's do that for 3 or 4 weeks. If you got more money to play with, drop more money in them, right? Because again, it's just about building that rapport. Now, on let's say day 31, we can apply for that business credit card. If your credit is really good, you don't even have to wait the 30 days. You can just apply out the gate. Some banks y'all can check out. Truist Bank, right? They have 2 business credit cards, 0% interest, 1 0% interest, 9 months, 1 is 0% interest, 12 months, right? You can get both of those products with just 1 inquiry. If your business is over 2 years, you can get both of those business credit cards and a business line of credit, all with just 1 inquiry. They're going to pull from Equifax, right? Then with a bank like Truist, it's a regional bank. So So there's certain lenders that are only going to allow people who live in that region to be able to bank with them. PNC is another one of those, right? But what I tell people is to keep it simple for anyone watching. First thing you want to do, go look up community banks in your area, right? Literally Google community banks in my area. You can also check out ibanknet.com. And what it does is it breaks down by state what lenders are giving out the most money based on activity, right? We think of deposits, assets, because the way banks make money, as we know, is they lend out money, they charge interest, right? So what we want to do is see who's giving out the most, who has the most activity, and those are the banks we're gonna want to go build with. And then just understanding what they're looking for. Again, we talked about what not to say. When I walk in the bank, don't ever say you do something like credit repair. Don't say you're in trucking. Nothing wrong with those industries, but in the eyes of the lender, they're gonna be considered high risk. We don't want to say we're self-employed or retired, right? Use an employer, or in certain instances, use the name of your business as your employer, because these are things that they're looking for to say, okay, red flag, red flag. So as long as we do all those things, we can go out and get some good funding.
Major. And so what are some examples of things that, your students, like, what are y'all doing now that you got this funding, right? You had $167,000.
Yep.
What did you do with that money, and how did that help you, help you in your business?
So I tell people this: certain people invest in certain things, right? Some people do real estate, stocks. For me, it was skills, because I know that the more high income skills we have, the more cash flow we can create. So for me, one of the first things I invested in was how to run now a funding company, right? How I can go get people 100,000 and I can make 10% on the back end. That's a 10K payday, right? Another thing we invested in was like digital products. How do I now help people with this same skill that I learned that's helped me make some good money to now I can impact others, right? I always say when you over deliver, you'll be overpaid. So I'm big on helping people, but things that people in my community, what we teach is how to run a funding business, how to run an automated credit repair business, how to be able to now go out and teach others how to do the same. So all the things I'm doing, we're teaching them in the program so that they can go out and be able to not just get the money, but like you said, most people don't know what to do with the money. So now they have a plan of action so that they can grow cash flow.
Yeah, no, I love it. And talk about that a little bit, right? Because I know I said that 70% of credit reports have errors on them. How lucrative is starting your own credit repair business? And like, what does it take? Can anybody do it, or is it something that you have to have a certain skill set to be able to do?
So honestly, what happens is this: you got to think, right? 7 out of 10 people you meet have bad credit.
Yeah.
So you got to think easy business to market.
Right.
Even if, God forbid, you don't have an online presence, you could literally probably go in your group chat and find people who need their credit fixed.
Nice.
So once you learn the skill, right, which you can learn from someone who's done it, right? We talked about learning the thing that you're looking to do from somebody. Once you learn it, what we can do is you can start off doing it. But what I tell people, the easiest way to do it is having it somewhat automated. So hire you a team, let them duplicate your process, right? You can go get a team of even VAs, virtual assistants, duplicate your process. That way you don't have to be so hands-on, because as you're scaling the credit repair business, let's say the first 10 clients, 20 clients you're doing on your own, it could be a lot. It could be time consuming. And we know as business owners, time freedom or focusing on the things that produce you high income, right, is what you want to be focused on. So, so you could start off doing it on your own, hire some people, train them on how to do it, and it's something that anyone can do.
Yep, got it. And then now, so like, you got the funding, you got people investing in the credit repair business, and they're making that cash flow. What has been the vehicle for you that has worked the best from a wealth building perspective? Like you looking at, all right, I want to solidify my wealth, I want to create, residual income. What's your go-to wealth strategy?
So for me personally, it's been like helping people. People is, even before getting into all this, I always had a passion to help people. And that's been the thing. So my coaching business right now, we have over 400 students between our university and our mentorship program. And that's been, my biggest thing I'll go to in terms of impact and then income. But, we also have like a continuity offer. Like for people who can't afford to pay for credit repair, I got a free software that allows them to repair their own credit, and it's populated by artificial intelligence, so that they don't even have to know what they're doing. It's gonna pull up their negative accounts. It's gonna literally plug and play. So when they click on the negative accounts, it's gonna populate the letters for them and allow them to send it off, or they can pay a couple extra dollars and get it sent off on their behalf. So that's been amazing as well.
Yeah, I love that. And so how do you believe that and I'm glad you brought up AI, you know, because, you know, I see a lot of, you know, artificial intelligence here.
Right.
And it's smart to use it in the credit repair space. How do you believe that AI is going to change credit, credit funding? Like, do you think it's going to play more of a role in, like, credit repair funding?
Absolutely. Like in anything, even outside of credit, like artificial intelligence is here to make our lives easier. So you think of, like, you could literally pull up, list of lenders in my area that have 0% interest. You could go to ChatGPT and do that, and it'll literally give you the banks. You can talk about, like we talked about, populating letters. Write a dispute letter for, a late payment, right? And it's going to populate that. And not only will it give you one, but because what can happen sometimes is people send out generic letters, and that's how people have a hard time getting negatives off. But it can generate you different type of letters for the same scenario, right? So it's definitely here to stay.
Yeah.
It's gonna, if you're learning how to use it and leverage it, it's gonna help your business grow.
Yeah, and so you talked earlier about, because I want to get to know Darius a little better, right? Like, you talked earlier about, like, being in marketing, being a networker, things of that nature. At this level of your career, and having a lot of income and a lot of impact, is there anything that you know now that if you were able to talk to, let's say, your 18-year-old self, that you would be telling 18-year-old Darius about, business and about, how to build wealth?
Absolutely. If I was talking to my 18-year-old self, the thing I would have told me was, don't listen to people who aren't where you're looking to be, right? I think so many times the problem is, like, growing up, like, we're all in the same environment. I'm from the neighborhood, so everyone's like, when I talk about, like, investing in yourself, like paying for mentorship, that's like, why would you do that?
Facts.
But if I knew what I knew now, I would have took any money. I would have worked the job just to be able to pay someone to get the answers, because it's just the fast pass, and it's a situation where you really can't go wrong, right? If you've already done the thing I'm looking to do, how can I go wrong if I'm following your blueprint? And I think so many times people want to hold on to the money because they have a scarcity mindset, right? But what I learned is the more you let go the money, of course, putting it into the right things, the more the money comes back. So that's definitely what I would tell my 18-year-old self: invest in skills, invest in mentorship.
Yeah, no, that's good, because I think that, and I think it's tough though, right? I think it's tough in our community because, I think we're taught that school is the way, right? So we're willing to, which is, and no disrespect to people who go to school, but a lot of the people that I know that go to school and follow sort of like that traditional way are struggling, right? So they go to school, they get a degree, they can't find a job in what they just got a degree in, so they pay more money for another degree to also not have a job in what they just paid money for, and then that cycle continues. But then when you think about somebody paying $40,000, $50,000, $100,000, even one shot for self-education, it scares them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It scares them because they've never done that before. And then that they're skeptical about it. They don't know what to do. But at the end of the day, like you said, paying for that mentorship, paying for getting in the room and having access, really kind of like exponentially kind of grows your business. What happens, right? So I've seen, I know, just going back to the funding for a second, I've seen when people use their personal credit to apply for business credit, sometimes that hard inquiry is there. Are there any, like, tips or tricks to kind of not allow those inquiries to affect on the personal side when they apply for business credit?
So you can literally remove any inquiries that you get when you're applying for business funding. And the reason being is because, again, it's a business product, so it should not be reporting on your personal credit. So what you can do is you can literally send in a letter of deletion to remove those inquiries, because it should not be reporting there. You don't even have to, it's not even a hack, any like crazy gem. Literally just send in the letter of deletion and say, I need these inquiries removed. Then once you do that, you can go run more business funding plays, because now that those inquiries aren't showing. And that account is not gonna report on your personal credit. So it's not gonna be like, oh, your debt to income ratio went up. So just get rid of the inquiries and go run some more plays.
So just so I can understand, right? So if I got I apply for American Express card. American Express runs my personal credit. They give me the actual card, and now I have that. I look up my credit, and I see I don't see nothing. I don't see the American Express card on my personal because I got it approved on my business side. But I still see the inquiry.
Yep.
I could call the credit bureau.
Yes.
And say, please delete this. And it's I'm not doing nothing illegal,
Nope.
of that, right?
Nothing at all. You don't even have to call. You can just send in a letter of deletion and list that inquiry that's there. And then for a reason why, because this inquiry should not be reporting by law.
And then they take it off.
They take it off.
And then now if it's off, now I could go apply for Chase.
Yes.
Chase gives me and I can perfectly do that.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Perfectly fine. And then there's certain lenders like GM Marcus Business Credit Card, they're not even going to give you an inquiry when you apply for their business credit card. So that's a play y'all can run if y'all want to avoid inquiries because you're in a rush or you're looking to not get another inquiry even temporarily.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, I love it. And so what's the biggest pushback, right? Like working with clients or trying to get people to get big business funding. What's the biggest pushback you've seen or you've been getting?
So the biggest thing I get is people thinking they're ready for funding and then not being ready. And then when you tell people they're not in position yet, sometimes they'll cop an attitude. But it's just really, it comes down to data points. Like I'll tell people, hey, yes, you have the score, but you don't meet the criteria. So you got to do X, Y, and Z. And a lot of times what I get is people who come for funding, they come like, I want it right now, right? When I tell some people, hey, it might take you a couple weeks, it might take you 2 or 3 months, but we can get you there, but you got to be patient, right? Because most people operate in desperate times. So, I got this idea. They want to go from idea to funding right now, when typically, no, sometimes it's a process. So that's been the biggest pushback I get.
And
go
ahead.
No, and then people, like you said, some people be skeptical, right? Because we just weren't privy to the information. So.
Got it. And so talk about like your program, right? 'Cause you have a university that you run. Talk about the university and what type of success you've been seeing for some of your students.
Absolutely. So our university, like I said, we teach you A through Z, the whole financial literacy game, specifically credit, how to fix your credit, how to build out your credit, how to set up your business, and how to apply for funding. Because on top of those things we just talked about, there's certain things that they're looking for on applications and how you look, that's going to dictate whether you get approved or whether you don't and for how much you get approved. So we go through all that. We do a live coaching call every month, and then we have a community. And the community is super dope because I love to see when, like, we got students in there who, they only been in the program like 60 days, and now they coaching others. Like, people asking questions. They in there before I could even get in there. No, you need to do this. This worked for me. And then we do a mastermind, a 2-day mastermind every quarter. So we actually have our next one coming up this weekend. But in the last one, it was dope to hear, like, testimonials. Like, one of our students, Stephanie, she got over $220,000 in funding. And she runs, like, a family business. So it's dope because she talked about how, it changed their lives. Another one of our students, Damir, he has $125,000 of funding. So we got a lot of people that's getting funded, and it's just exciting. We got some people who's now making $8,000 a month in their credit repair business. So it's just dope to see.
Wow. And where you are right now, did you envision this? Did you ever envision yourself being at this level of success?
So I always said I knew I would be successful. I didn't know how at times. I didn't know how soon, but I always knew I would be. So I'm just shocked that, the things that we've been able to accomplish in the past 9 months, because like I tell people, literally your life could change in, I used to say a year, but now it could change in less than a year. But it's two things: it's information and execution. And I stress that all the time. Like, your execution level, we can't always coach that, right? You got to have that in you, or you got to find a way to get it. But the information gap in our communities is the thing that holds us back. Like you said, people will pay $40,000, $50,000 to go get a traditional education. You come out, maybe you're making $40,000, $50,000 at your job. After taxes, you're struggling. But you could go get into a program. It could be $997, $4, even $5,000, a fraction of the price, and you can learn one high income skill that could change your whole life. So I didn't know when, but I did always know we'd be.
And what was your background like? Like, did you did you come from a rich family?
Nah.
Did you have
No.
You graduated magna cum laude.
Nah,
Like,
none of
what
that.
was the-
It's crazy, bro, because I almost didn't get to walk at my high school graduation.
Word,
yeah.
yeah.
So like now, like people in high school, they hit me up like, yo, you teaching financial literacy? This is crazy to see because like I remember you were struggling because traditional school wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I just wasn't interested or what it was, but no, I came up. It was me and my mom. I had my dad in my life. We're still tight as hell. And I did go to college. I graduated from University of Maine. Not cum laude. I played football though. So that was a lot of the reason I went to college. And then I came home. I tried like 7 jobs that first year. I was doing Uber, Caviar, front desk at LA Fitness, selling solar panels, walking the streets in the snow. So yeah, it was definitely a roller coaster ride getting here. The last business I had was in the nightlife industry, throwing parties. And I moved to Atlanta 6 months ago, and yeah, just started just locking in on this one thing. One thing. I say one thing. Most people, we try 2 or 3 or 5 things because we all feel we're so multifaceted or we're multi-talented, which we are. But if you could just focus on one skill, lock in on that one thing, you're gonna get there a lot faster.
Yeah,
that's what I learned.
Yeah, and then what does the future look like for Darius? Like when you ultimately, as you're continuing to build your university, you're helping people get funding, you have this strong impact. You're making good money. What does the ultimate vision look like for you?
That's a good question. So where I see us in the next couple of years is just, again, growing the community. And again, we want to elevate. So now we're helping people, get access to the money. Now they're making some money, but how can we create 6-figure earners? Because I just know the more you can impact people, the higher you can elevate them, the more you'll make. It just goes hand in hand. So that's something that we're looking to do, just help people at a higher level.
Yeah. And then, so right now, like a lot of, our insiders who watch the show work a 9 to 5, right? They probably make some good money. A lot of them may be wanting to transition from 9 to 5 to becoming an entrepreneur. What advice would you give to our insiders?
I would say, leverage your job, right? I think sometimes people online might speak of, get rid of the job, just quit. Leverage that to be your business partner. That income you're making, that can help you get ahead of people who are struggling to get it on their own, because we just talked about how lack of capital is a big thing. Definitely invest in your credit if it's not already in position. Use that capital to start your business, right? The right way, everything that we talked about today. And then keep your job until you're making as much as your job pays you. That way, you're stable, and then you can just grow from there. So that would be my advice to anyone who's working a 9 to 5, looking to transition. And most importantly, get a mentor. Don't do it on your own.
Yeah, love it. And if somebody wanted to get you as a mentor, I know you have a free masterclass coming up. Tell us about the masterclass.
Definitely. So in this masterclass, we're getting people funded live. Like this past weekend, we funded a little under $250,000 on the live workshop.
Wow. So during the masterclass, a free masterclass, you're actually getting people funded.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So y'all can go to mdwebook.com. Not only are you going to get invited to the free masterclass, you're going to get a free ebook from me, where I'm going to be showing you exactly how we do credit card stacking. I'm going to give you banks, how to set up your business. It's going to be everything A to Z, along with a 2-hour masterclass where we're locked in. I like to say, I like for my free masterclass to be better than a lot of people's paid. So we're going to over-deliver for sure.
Love it. So you said
mdwebook.com.
So mdwebook.com. Get the free ebook that also has a 2-hour masterclass. You could probably get funding live. Again, part of the important part of funding is not just to take the money and go to Vegas.
Right. That part.
You get the money, but the goal is so that you can start a business, buy an income producing asset, and that asset can pay off that card. Like, it's not like business funding does not mean free money.
Absolutely not.
You know what I'm saying? Because I want people to know that just because you could get the funding, you still got to pay it back.
Yes.
But again, if you do it the right way, because businesses are failing because of lack of access to capital. If you take that capital and then you put it in the right vehicles, then you can start building wealth.
100%.
All right, my brother Darius Benders is in the building. If somebody wanted to follow you, if they wanted to connect with you, where can they find you?
Definitely make sure y'all follow me on all platforms, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, at Darius Benders. And we putting out a lot of valuable content. So even the free stuff, like I got people coming on the Instagram, they getting approvals, getting their credit score improved. So make sure y'all follow me again at Darius Benders.
All right, y'all. Another awesome episode of Inside the Vault with Ash Cash. We are closing out the vault. Again, funding is really important, so make sure y'all tap in with Darius, mdwebook.com. Make sure you download that. Make sure you follow us at Inside the Vault on all social media platforms. Go to our website, insidethevaultshow.com. Me, I am Ash Cash. You can follow me on all social media platforms at I am Ash Cash. Also, go to my website, iamashcash.com. Also, join the Abundance Community. Go to abundancecommunity.org. We got some more game behind the scenes with Darius and all of our other past guests, exclusive episodes that you ain't even see yet. So make sure you join the Abundance Community, abundancecommunity.org. We're closing out the vault. We'll see you next time, same place, in God's will. All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace.